Is this potentially the bottom, Fat Man Zoom? And I know that I have my opinions, but kind of wanted to hear from you first.
Yeah, so I mean, it came roaring back today, and we've been talking about how it's been beaten down. We even had a conversation last week, I believe it was, where we're talking about, like, give yourselves, don't fully go out of tech, like make sure you're diversified, but you want to be in it when it comes back. Man, it's a tough question, and I want to answer it now. I think because I've been so jaded, because we've gotten our ass handed. Well, I'll just say for me, like, I've got my ass handed to me in tech.
Yeah.
I've held up, but it's been tough. It's been challenging that I feel like I'm a little bit jaded. I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no, it's not back yet.
Yeah. Do you
I
have
think we
like
need one more quarter of results.
Do you have like a reason as to why, or is it just a feeling?
Well, I guess I just like I would have to see how the market responds tomorrow and next week, because I don't know if people are like, if it's going to be a take profit situation, right? Like it's been down so long, we got a green. My only real reasoning would be sustainability of so the sustainability of growth. So this was an important quarter, but I would argue that next quarter is the most important quarter, because next quarter is the first full quarter of the pandemic, which tech thrived in and when it started moving. So it's going to be really hard to show growth in that. And if they can, then we're back. So this is promising, and I feel good about it, but I'm not ready to go back all in, into tech. And when I say all in, I don't mean my account, but like just really, really confident, just start adding to it. I'm not going to sell anything, but I got to see another quarter. Yeah. And it sucks. I'm saying 3 months, but I got to see another quarter.
Yeah. So for me, like, I think this very well could be a bottom for some stuff, but perhaps not everything.
Like Palantir.
Right.
Could be a bottom.
It could be, but that's still
not a good example.
Well, I was venturing along the lines of like the big names, the staples, like the ones that like Apple that's come down.
Yeah, I would agree.
Google, like Facebook, all of these have come down. And I mentioned this within our Chaos Group folks this morning. By the way, hit the join button next to subscribe if you want to be a part of that. But I mentioned that I think there's definitely a case that you can make for a bottom on the big like FANG stocks. We'll just call them that. Microsoft, even NVIDIA, AMDs. Because the forward PE has come down so far. The forward PE for the S&P 500 this year is 25. Mm-hmm. If you look at Apple, Microsoft, some of these other ones, they're well below that. They're like around 20, 18 at certain points.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think that like there's definitely a case that you can make for some of the bigger tech. I'm a little concerned about the high flyer tech that we've seen kind of go crazy. Like right now I'm looking at ChargePoint, even Peloton to a certain extent, and some of those other ones, because when I look at the 10-year yield, and today it's actually down, which is probably helping along these stocks a little bit today, but the 10-year yield is sitting at 163. And we talked about this. We talked about how, we expected the 10-year yield to probably hit somewhere around 2 to 2.25, maybe by the end of the year. And if that still happens, that's really going to put a damper on some of these high growth stocks, especially the ones that have super high multiples. And crazy enough, some of these, even though they've had 30, 40% moves down, they're still overvalued from a forward PE standpoint. So I think that there's definitely that case, but I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I would love for everybody to be in this chat, or anybody who's talking or watching right now. I would love to be wrong, but I just don't know if we're yet out of the clear. And in my opinion, I see some people, that are chatting right now saying about how green they are and like this is great, this is awesome. To me, I think that just confirms that perhaps there's still some folks out there that are over leveraged in tech. And in my opinion, if it were me, I would probably use this opportunity to maybe go back into some of those rotationals, because the economy is still rocking. And we're still going to continue to see huge demand and all of the things that we've been talking about. And I think that those are still very much in play. The banks we've talked about as well that are still, we have the stress test coming up in June. So there's a lot of there's a lot of reasons to believe that some of those cyclicals that investors have been rotating into could still go higher still. You can see.
I'm glad you said I couldn't agree more. That's great, Brad.
I appreciate the posture there.
I think that That's a great point you make. And you know, tech is such a broad brush that we've talked about the breaking down. Like, you could argue that Airbnb is tech. You could argue that Penn is tech, right? Well, Penn's not a great example. Barstool lends itself to that theory, but like DraftKings or something like that. Yeah. But tech speculative and like legacy tech, I think need to be separated into two categories because I can buy Apple all day and I don't care. Like, it will be fine. But I'll go back to my Palantir example, which I'm hoping it just continues to stay above $20. It could just go down. Like, it's not, there's a lot of speculation. But even within tech, making sure you're diversified, but beyond tech, getting into the rotational plays, still putting your money to work, not getting caught up in, I want these massive returns, but just like hedging your bets are just really important when you're considering that. So again, I'm not sure if it's just like we've had these fake outs and we're just a little bit jaded by it, but you know, so what if you miss one day that's another couple percent up? There's still such huge upside for all these stocks. I mean, Penn's at under 80, and it could go to 150. Yeah. So even if you get in at 100, when it breaks over 100, you still have 50% upside. Yeah. So there's opportunity there.
For sure. And I think that there's something to be said for like waiting for confirmation and not just taking one day and looking at it and being like, oh, we're back. You know, because I think that's a trap that a lot of people fall into. So, and I know this sounds like that we're being awfully bearish, and I don't want it to come off that way. But, you know, I think it's just more like be cautious and be happy if things continue to go your way, but also don't let it surprise you when if they don't.